Hey guys, Mystic Diamond here and welcome back to the next class. The bell has just gone, so take your seats, take out your Path of Transcendence journals and your pens, because today we're going to talk about something very, very important, and I can confirm after a couple of videos ago, something I said today, I can confirm that this is going to be the last primary/elementary foundational class. From the next class onwards, we are going into the next level. Okay, things are going to get a lot more technical as we do go along. We're going to be talking, not today, but after this, we're going to be talking about things like timelines, time spaces, going into quantum physics. It's going to get much more technical as we do go along. So if you haven't seen all of these classes, I do recommend that you go back and watch all of them so that you have that solid foundation moving forward. But let's not waste any more time and get right into today's class, which is energy returns. Now, this is not excuse me, this is not a video on energy exchanges, sorry, which, for those of you who aren't aware, an energetic exchange, or an energy exchange, is where one person puts something out, using energy to put something out, and someone else or others, depending on the situation, they put energy back in to replenish that energy. One example of this is when it comes to readings. If I do a reading, I put out energy to do a reading for you guys, and I receive a payment for that. That is an energetic exchange. Another energetic exchange might be me doing these classes and you guys leaving a thumbs up on the class. It's an energy exchange. I put out energy to do the class, you put the thumbs up for me on the video, and that comes back to me as an energy exchange. Or if I do one-on-one guidance through emails, I put out the energy to do the email for you, and the energetic exchange that comes back might be words of appreciation from what has been gained through that. So that is energy exchange. Now that you know what that is, we're talking today about energy returns. Now, let's get right into this. Have you heard humans talking about karma? Karma is a word that we don't use because it's unangelic, but karma is, yeah. Is it? Yep. You better watch out for karma. Yep. Have you heard of people saying, whatever you put out there comes right back to you? Yep. Yeah, this is called an energy return. Because at the end of the day, we need to be mindful of what we're putting out there, because every single thing that we do put out returns to its source. Yep. Every form of energy does eventually need to return to its source. We're going to go into that today in a couple of different ways. So, I'm going to pause the video and we'll take a look at the whiteboard. Okay, so let's take a look at the whiteboard, because this does very clearly illustrate what it is that I'm referring to. So, bless the person who invented stick figures once again, as I always like to say. This is you. Okay? Now, we put out energy every day. Everything that we do consists of energy. Why? Because Ascension 101, every single thing is energy. Everything is. Not only things that we put out, things that we project onto others, things that we come into, every single thing is energy. And for those of you who have transcended the soul matrix and come up into the monad, we're going to be discussing levels of transcendence very, very, very soon. But for those of you who have transcended the soul matrix, second wavers would have come into that realization already. Every single thing is energy. So, let's talk about energy that we project out, whether we're mindful of it or not. One of the biggest points that I need to make when it comes to energy that we put out onto others is social media. Absolutely. Social media is filled with tons of energy. If I just name a few off the top of my head, we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest to a certain degree, Snapchat. There are so many forms of social media out there, and new ones as well. It's really hard to keep up. For me, I have a Facebook account, but the last time I put a status up, I think was about a week ago, but that one aside, I don't really use my Facebook wall, so yeah, I don't really use it myself. Now, I also have a Twitter account, but I seldom use it, and when I do, I don't really put out tweets. It's more for those that I'm following, certain people and groups that I follow, I will look at what they are doing, but I don't tweet myself. And then there's, of course, YouTube. Yeah, in many ways, YouTube is social media. You know, people putting out videos with all different types of energy as well. This is all covered in social media. Now, let's break this down a little more, shall we? So, we project energies into social media all the time. Whenever we are putting something out there, that energy sits out there. So, social media being one example. Friends. Yeah, absolutely. We put energy out onto friends every time we're having a conversation with them. We're sending them positive energy, negative energy, light energy, dark energy, heavy energy, hateful energy, energy onto friends, energy onto family, even energy onto strangers. If you're walking by someone on the street and you say hi to them, yeah, hi, have a nice day, yeah, positive energy to a stranger. If a stranger cuts you off in traffic, why you energy onto a stranger. Absolutely, it happens every single day. Again, going back to what I was saying just a moment ago, Ascension 101, everything is energy anyway, but we project energy. No matter what it is that we are doing, we're projecting energy somewhere to something. And this is something that's to be very mindful and very conscious of. And the reason why we need to be conscious of it is because it then moves further. So we project energy. Let's use the example of social media. We project energy onto social media, and then there are many people. I've got 3 here. I don't know if you can see that. I hope so. I have the numbers 1, 2, and 3 here. Okay? So let's just say these represent in the tens of thousands because it's more than 3. But so we have, 10,000 here, 10,000 here, 10,000 here, of people who, let's go with Facebook. We've put up a post, and let's just say this post is downright negative. I hate the world. I don't like saying hate, but to use, a quote of something I've seen recently, I hate the world has done nothing for me, everyone can go and, swearing bomb, swearing bomb, swearing bomb. Very much unbecoming of being an angelic, but, there are things like that out on Facebook. So, let's say you've put this out here, because we're making it about you and your process. You've decided to put something out on Facebook because you're upset and you're projecting your anger into a post. So you put it out there onto social media, and tens of thousands of thousands of thousands of people are seeing this post. Of course, it comes down to how many people you have, or that you have added as friends, and so on and so forth. But then we also need to keep in mind, because it gets very technical, we also need to keep in mind that some people will share posts and so on and so forth. So there's many different ways people can have access to this. So all these people that are seeing this post, they're absolutely affected by it. Think about yourself. If you go on to, and we'll continue with Facebook, if you go on to Facebook and you're scrolling through your news feed, how you feel when you're reading a post that says, look at this, I got a kitten for Christmas, and it might show a picture of a kitten coming out of a box, okay, that someone's received for Christmas. Oh, how beautiful. Then you see a post from someone else saying, F the world can go and F off because it's an MBFC, many words that we can put into there, and how that affects you, right? So that's putting you in the shoes of these people, the ones who are affected by what has been put out there. But here's the thing. You put something out onto social media. It affects all these people. But Ascension 101, energy must always return to the source. Once it is filtered through social media and been seen by all these people and affected by all these people, what eventually ends up happening is it comes back around to you. Okay? It comes back to you because you put it out there, it needs to come back to you. So this is where humans say karma, we call it energy returns. And I'm going to talk about the karmic justice time space in just a moment, but we call it an energy return because that's more precisely what it is. It's not some man or woman or being that's out there waving a magic wand going, you know what? I am going to give you this. Ta-da! No, it doesn't work that way. It is literally a cycle of you've projected it out, and what you projected out has now played out. It's gone out to social media, it's been seen by all these people, and now that it's played out, it needs to return to you. And so it will. Now, it won't necessarily return to you in the form that you've done it, so it won't necessarily, in this case, return to you as a Facebook status of all these swear bombs and whatever else. It returns to you as the type of energy that you've put out there. And in this case, if we're thinking about the type of examples I've been giving, I would say hateful, dark, negative energy. Let's put it that way. So that's how it's going to return to the source. It's going to return to you as hateful, dark, negative energy. So again, this comes down to being very mindful. Well, this comes down to a very good reason to be mindful. We should be mindful anyway, because it's unangelic to do this stuff anyway. But here's a very good reason to be mindful of it, because it does need to return to the source. Now, let's look at things from the opposite angle, and let's say when it comes to strangers. Okay, the last category I have here is strangers. So, you're walking down the street, and you see someone there, and, I don't know, let's say they have a shopping bag on them, and the shopping bag rips open and their stuff falls out. And instead of walking past them, you say, you know what, oh, poor thing, you stop with them, you bend down and help them pick up the stuff that they need to pick up. And you're doing what you can to help them. Helpful, positive energy, loving energy, you know, at the very minimum, is what you're putting out there when you're doing this for this person. So this will then trickle through to others as well. Because you've done this for someone else, you've given them an act of kindness, let's say, they may very well be encouraged to put out an act of kindness for others. And we call this paying it forward, very much so. So you've bent down to pick up the stuff for them, and they've been so moved by what you've done that they've gone off and done it for, let's say, 3 others, who then go off and do it for 3 more, and da-da-da-da-da, and so on and so forth it goes. And that spreads that positive, loving energy, which is wonderful. Good news is, when this plays out, just like with the negative energy on social media, the good news is, it still has to return to the source. So that positive, helpful energy will come back to you. Again, not necessarily specifically the same situation. I'm not saying that you're going to have a shopping bag rip for you and someone's going to bend down and pick up the stuff for you, but that positive energy will come back to you in one form or another once that energy has returned to the source. So we do need to be very, very, very mindful of 3 things when it comes to energy we put out there. 1, when we put energy out there, whether it be on social media, friends, family, strangers, whatever it is, we need to be mindful that it affects where we've put it. And then we need to be, the second thing we need to be mindful of is whoever receives that energy will pass that energy on to the next person. Because energy is rather, if I say infectious, I don't want to use that term, but, you know, it feels like the right term to use. Energy is rather infectious, so you go and see a friend and you have a big old rah-rah directed completely at them. Essential 101, if you're going to have a rah-rah on your own, in your own space, okay? Especially if it's something you need to energetically purge. But you've had a rah-rah directed at your friend. Not a rah-rah in front of your friend about someone else, but directed at your friend. This has affected your friend. And now your friend, who may have been in a really good mood to start their day, is really upset now because you've affected them with your energy. And so they have then received a phone call from someone else, they've gone to see someone else has rocked up at their house that day, or they've come into contact with a co-worker. Because they're so affected by the energy you've put onto them, they're putting it onto others, who put it onto others, who put it onto others, so on and so forth. So that's the second thing to be mindful of. What we put out there not only affects them, but it affects multiple others, because the cycle goes on and on and on. That's the second thing. The third thing to be mindful of, it is eventually going to need to return to the source, because all energy needs to return to its source. That is just Ascension 101. That is just the way it is. It does need to return to the source. Okay? So 1, be mindful of what you put out there. 2, because whoever it affects, it's going to affect others and go on and on and on. 3, it needs to come back to you. Now, I want to go into a little more detail about phase 2 of this. So you put it out there, you've affected someone, and they're affecting others. This comes back to unity consciousness, okay? This is something I've discussed in another video, but I'm going to go into that. We're going to go into that with the next level stuff. Unity consciousness is the understanding that we are all connected. Everyone is. Every single thing here in this physical reality is connected. Be it person, animal, plant, nature, whatever it is. Everyone and everything is connected. Unity consciousness. And this is a great example of that unity consciousness. You project something out that may be intended to only affect one person, or you may not even be intending to affect anyone. If you're putting something on Facebook, you're just letting it out. You're not intending to affect anyone, you're just putting it out there. Yeah, it affects one person, who then, with that, affects 3 others, who those 3 affect 3 others, so on and so forth it goes. Unity consciousness. So keep that in mind. You project out, they project out, it has to return back to you. We need to be very conscious and mindful of this with every single thing that we do. Because everything we do, everything we say, comes with its own energy. Alright, let's move on. Alright, so now we're going to... Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Something just dropped, but we will continue to move on. So now we're going to talk about something known as the karmic justice time-space. And I will be discussing timelines and time spaces with you guys in one of the next 2 videos anyway. I need to still decide which one I'm doing first. But anyway, I will be elaborating on them very, very, very shortly. But for the moment, I need to discuss the karmic justice time space with you guys, because it does relate to everything we've been talking about so far. Everything that you project onto others, as you know, it needs to come back to the source. That's what we've just spoken about. That is an energy return. But there is another way that we receive energy returns as well. And when we come into the karmic justice time space, things start getting recorded and documented and this is where I need to talk to you guys about the other title that I have. So I've spoken to you guys many times about me being a second wave divine feminine angelic. Yep, absolutely I am. Everything that I go through, as far as that is concerned, is what you would expect. I have my own individual individualistic path and process of transcendence. I also have my feminine collective, I have my second wave collective, and my second wave divine feminine collective, and we go through everything we go through. I do my high dimensional tasks, I have my clairs, everything else we've already discussed in building this foundation. But then there comes the next part of me, which is that I am not just a second wave divine feminine angelic, I'm a second wave divine feminine angelic cherubim. Okay, now there are cherubims and there are seraphims, and if you wish to look this up online, feel free to do so. Remember to learn to discern as you do so, or you can ask me about it for more information. When I get time, I will be doing a video on cherubims and seraphims, but for the moment, there's just a lot of other things we do need to get through and cover before I go there. The only reason I bring this up with you guys is because of the karmic justice time space. I have a lot of roles that I play and a lot of things that I need to do. as a second way, divine feminine, angelic. However, as a cherubim, I have a few tasks that I need to do that come with that responsibility as well. And one of them is reporting. Okay? Yeah, reporting. So let's take a quick look at the whiteboard as I explain this process to you as best I can. Alright. So, Essential 101, some very general, generic facts. A cherubim has 2 sets of 2 wings. A seraphim has 3 sets of 2 wings. An angelic has 1 set of 2 wings. Okay? This is just the way it is. There is no comparing, contrasting, no judgments on any one of them. At the end of the day, it is a blessing to be a cherubim, don't get me wrong, but it comes with a ton of extra work. So, if you're an angelic and you're not a cherubim or a seraphim, appreciate that you're an angelic, because it does come with a ton, as I say, of extra work. So, we went through something relatively recently, I would say maybe about 4 or 5 months ago now. So, when you consider, how long the ascension process has been happening, 4 or 5 months ago is relatively recently, where we went through the judgment, the karmic justice time space, and judgment day. Now, judgment day is not something that lasts a day, it's just labelled judgment day, and judgment day actually went for a week during this time. Judgment day itself is a time space, okay, a period of time, we'll deal with that later. Judgment day is a time-space period where angelics are judged for how well they are doing on their path of transcendence. So, and that's literally what it was, being judged for how well you're doing. So, who are we judged by, and how do these beings know what's going on? Well, here's how. We are judged by the seraphims. Now, the seraphims do their work for God. If you want to look up cherubims and seraphims online, as I said, learn to discern all that, what resonates with you, what doesn't. But what you will find is seraphims have a direct line to God. Cherubims, myself included, have a direct line to seraphims. Now, yes, everyone can contact God, absolutely, don't get me wrong with that. But seraphims work directly through God. They work directly with God, pass things through to the cherubims, and the cherubims pass things through to the angelics, and then it reverses. The angelics go through their process that they go through, whatever's happening in the judgment day time space. This comes back to the cherubim, so for me, for example, so I keep an eye on everyone's progress, see how everyone's doing, and then what happens is I'm actually called in to give what's known as a progress report. Okay, I go to another dimension, I will sit with a seraphim, there are many up there, I will sit with one of them, okay, I'll sit with a seraphim, and I will give a progress report on how everyone's going as a whole, that I'm guiding one-on-one as a cherubim, as a cherubim and as an angelic. Gets very technical, guys. And as an angelic as well. And we have this discussion. It starts off as a whole. On the whole, here's what's going on, and it's very neutral from my end. This, it's very monad related as well, because it needs to be neutral. It's not an I'm upset with this, I'm happy with this. It is, okay, here's what's going on. So far, as a whole, this is what's happening. And then there'll be some specific questions that will come about. Okay, so, on higher dimensional levels, as you guys know, there are, without going into too much, because I'm sort of backing myself in a corner here with all this information that I want to say later, but we have our soul's contract. We also have the Akashic or Akashic records. The soul contract is what was written before you were born. The Akashic record, or Akashic record, is what is written the moment you've completed whatever it is. So, if you have energetically purged someone, there is a being up there who's writing it down in your Akashic record. Just completed this purge with details, blah, blah, blah. The seraphims have these notes, okay? not necessarily the Akashic record, but they have notes on certain things that are going on. And so while I am in this progress report discussing the generalization of what's going on, that my seraphim that I'm speaking to will ask specific questions. Okay, so, and I'm not going to use names, but I'll try and remember an example of last time. Thank you. Okay, so the cherubim was asking me about someone that I've been working with one-on-one since I started doing one-on-one guidance, actually. And so I won't say the name, but the cherubim was saying, so regarding this person, what's been going on? Last time we spoke, you said this. What's happened since then? And so I was reporting what had happened since then with them. So they do ask specific questions about specific individual angelics that I am guiding, but it's not just me. It's anyone that is a cherubim that goes up to report to the seraphims to do progress reports. Now, does this mean that seraphims don't guide? Does this mean that seraphims don't give progress reports? No, it does not. But it is much more rare for the seraphim to be on this side of the table reporting to a fellow seraphim. It's much more rare. The more common thing is that cherubims report to seraphims, and as with the direct line to God, as I was saying, cherubims report to seraphims, seraphims bring it up to God, and then it trickles back down to the seraphims and to the cherubims, and so on and so forth. In this particular situation, this is how it works with the arrows and the dots that I have around this. The cherubim, aka me or anyone else, will report to the seraphim, okay, about, sorry, wait, let's go back a step further. Alright, an angelic comes into a cherubim and receives guidance from a cherubim, for whatever reason it is. And the cherubim helps the angelic. Yes, this happens over here too, angelic to angelic, absolutely it does, but I'm just referring to what happens in a progress report situation. An angelic comes to a cherubim, receives that one-on-one guidance. The cherubim, when requested, reports to the seraphim about what's going on. And then the judgment is passed by the seraphim, by God. The judgment is passed as to how well the angelic is doing, and owing to that, a course of action is taken. Okay, now this is not something to be fearful of, it's just something to be mindful of, really. At the end of the day, this is the last video I'm doing, so you have it as part of your foundation, just so you're aware. This does happen. Now, last year I only did this once. Sorry, not last year. We haven't gotten to 2019 yet. In 2018, I only reported once. Okay? So, it really doesn't happen often. Okay? And then, yeah, judgment is passed, a sentence is placed out, whatever it is. So if it's, well, they're really nowhere near where they should be, which happens sometimes, okay, we're going to have to call them in for a meeting, which is fine, it's how it goes. So the angelic will go up for a meeting and deal with whatever happens, in that regard. If it's the other way around, well, they're actually doing exceptionally well. What is carried out is generally a blessing, something that they will come into. It could be additional work. It could be coming into a higher dimensional task earlier than expected. So as I said, I've done soul removal, I've also done healing, and a multitude of other things. It could be that you come into something energetically, so it could be come into an energetic crown, per se. Yep, it's possible. An energetic weapon, an energetic gift of some kind, absolutely, and they are really beautiful when you do receive them. Not common, but when they do happen, overly emotional and very beautiful when it does happen. So that's what happens when the progress report is carried out, okay? And this happens for all the angelics that are being guided by cherubims, earthbound cherubims. Now, what happens is certainly not every cherubim is earthbound, okay? Definitely not. And so what happens there is, for those who aren't being guided by earthbound cherubims, they are being overseen by cherubims, okay? So especially during the the Judgment Day period, cherubims will go out to those who aren't being guided by earthbound cherubims to see what's going on, and they'll report back with their findings that way. For me, it's bless being earthbound, because it comes with all the stuff it comes with, as we know, but it is what it is. For me, it makes it a little bit easier because I am guiding those that I guide here in the physical reality, that I'm able to go up and make those progress reports, okay? Alright, so I think we'll leave it at that. I'm just going to pause the video and then I'll be back to wrap things up. Alright, now I am mindful of the fact that this was quite a heavy class, and there was a lot that came out of it. Not only were we talking about energy and how it returns to the source and how it affects others, but we were also talking about progress reports and cherubims and seraphims and all this stuff, and so bless you for getting through this. I know this was not easy. The fact of the matter is that this is the last foundational level. We have planted the seeds, we have laid the foundation, and from here on out, things are going to get far more technical. What's going to happen, and I want to give you guys this heads up, and it's the perfect timing now at the end of this video, because this is where we do come to that end, and then from the next one onwards we get to the next level stuff. What's going to happen from here on out is I will be referring back to terms that I've used in these videos, so if you haven't seen them, you might get a little bit confused. So I will, for example, say, remember how we spoke about contracts? Yeah, this fits in right here. Okay, so the soul-core wound, sexual misery. So, right, so if we take that example without me telling you what it is, because you already know. Okay, we've laid the foundation. You guys already know this stuff. Hopefully you've been writing it down in your Path of Transcendence journals, so that when we do move on, you can always go back to that stuff and go, hang on, wait a minute, Mystic Dom, I'm just going to pause this video for you. Just a moment. Okay, soul-core wounds. Oh, that's right, the 5 things that become the traumatic experience. Okay, I know what he's talking about. Yep, keep going. Alright, they're going to get far more technical and far more complex. There will be more terminology that will come out, absolutely. But the next 2 videos that are going to come out, and I just don't know which order they're going to be in, is going to be, finally, I know you guys have been asking for this for a while, the Levels of Transcendence. I'm going to do a Levels of Transcendence intro for you guys, where I give you an introduction to the Soul Matrix, the Monad, and the Avatar. There will be subsequent videos where I will go into more detail on them, but I'm going to give you an intro of them. And I'm also going to do a video on timelines versus time spaces, okay? I know that you guys want to know more about timelines, and you need to know also about time spaces also, so that you know the difference between the two. So those are going to be the next 2 videos. I just don't know which order they are going to be in. But just be ready, because things are really, we're going to take a major step up. You know, do you remember being in primary school or elementary school when you're in grade 6, or, well, in Australia it's grade 6 anyway. You're in grade 6, you're on top of the world, yay, I'm the oldest kid in the school. And then you go over to year 7, again, in Australia, you go over to year 7 and you're like, oh, I'm the little kid again. That's what's going to happen. We've laid this solid foundation. We're going on to high school level stuff, guys. So, and we need to. You know, time is, so to say, running out. We have less than 4 weeks until we get into 2019, and I need to get as much information out to you guys as I can. So, we'll see how many videos I can get out there, but yeah, between now and 2019, but yeah, we are stepping up in a very, 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 very big way. Okay, for homework tonight, what I would like you to do is make sure that you've taken notes on this, the energy returns as well as the progress reports, just so that you can be mindful of it, because come next year, when we do come into the Judgment Day time space, which inevitably we will, whenever it is, if you guys have that there, you'll know exactly what's going on. Oh yes, I remember when Mystic Diamond was talking about that. That means this is this. Okay, now we're in this space. We are not in that space at the moment, but when we are, I will let you guys know. Yes. Also, please go through, for homework, this is going to be a really big one, transitioning from primary to high school. I want you guys to go through everything you've written, all the notes that you've made so far on all of the classes that have been put up. And if you have any comments, thoughts, or clarification or questions about anything that's come up so far, please email me at mysticdiamondguide@outlook.com. My email is in the description below for clarificational purposes, because we are springboarding from here. And as I say, things are going to get much, much, much more technical. So if there's anything you want clarification on, something you don't quite understand, something you want me to elaborate on to make it a little bit easier for you, now is the time to be emailing me and asking me about it before we do springboard into the more technical stuff. With that being said, it's been wonderful teaching you guys. I'm obviously not going anywhere, but we are leaving this school. We're leaving primary school and we're going on to high school. So it's been a pleasure teaching you guys. Thank you so much to everyone who has been a part of the primary school version of the Mystic Diamond School of for those on the path of transcendence and going through their path of ascension and process of transcendence. Thank you to everyone who has left wonderful comments to me, whether it be in the space below the classes or whether it be via email. I really do appreciate everything that's come back from everyone. So thank you, thank you, thank you. But mostly I want to say thank you for taking what we call an active role in your path and your process. Once again, it's been an absolute pleasure and a blessing doing these primary foundational lessons for you guys, and I will see you over in high school when we come back with the next class. Until then, peace, blessings, and so much love. There's the bell. Primary school is out. I'll see you in high school very soon. Bye, guys.